Everything plugged in? Looking good? Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
In these trying times, we at PGC are here to bring you more of what everyone wants. That's right. This is another Fish and Bean episode. Just what you wanted to eat. Ha! Please go ahead and complain in the comments now. Fish and beans is a winning combination because it can be cheap, it can be healthy. And in this particular application, I came across this recipe when I was searching for something to do with my excess of basil in the garden. Would you like to see that excess of basil? Let's go look at it. Here is the basil patch. It's miscellaneous basil, so there's actually several varieties. You can see that there's just the plain old regular basil. That's the biggest thing that's been growing around. But there's also some purple Thai basil. I think this is purple Thai basil that has not turned basil yet. And they're actually, in very small quantities, is the Genovese basil, which is typically what you'll find at the store where it's got that rounded leaf right here. And there's other basils too, but I don't know what they are. That's it, that's the basil patch. I already picked the basil. Okay, so I never told you what we're making. It's tuna and green bean basil salad. That sounds terrible. I mean, if you just were, if I saw a menu and it was called that, I would be like, bruh. So this is the type of dish that it should have some nicer name. If you, viewer, have an idea for what to call this other than that, please let us know. We might update the name of the video based on your suggestions. Because green bean and tuna salad ain't it. Okay, let's begin by taking a little sippy poo of our beer. This is a Peaches and Cream Nitro from Urban Artifact. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called Peaches and Cream Nitro. And I feel meh about most nitro beers, but this one in particular goes down real smooth. It's real nice. Look at this preposterously sized shallot. Have you ever seen a shallot that big? No, never. Nobody has, because they shouldn't be this big. So, we're gonna start with the shallot, and most shallots have like two big bulbs that you can split across, and you can leave the other one behind. And we'll start by thinly slicing the shallot. You don't have to do this with any great finesse, because we're basically gonna try to quick pickle the shallot, but then we're gonna blend it. So it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna slice this shallot like so. There it is. I'm gonna put it in a jar. And to that, I'm gonna add a vinegar of my choosing. The recipe I'm referencing suggested red wine vinegar or sherry vinegar. I will use citrus champagne instead because it sounds good to me. Excuse me, Vinny! You can go outside, but then you're gonna live out there. Alright, go to your new home. Bye-bye. Never see him again. Gotta make sure I lock the door. Alright, to that, give a liberal or conservative amount of salt and enough vinegar to kind of cover it. You basically want like 3 tablespoons-ish, which is just shy of a quarter cup. Maybe. And you can just leave it in there, but if you want to really get the ball rolling, you can give it one of these where you shake it around and you use the salt to massacate the onions a little bit, or the shallot in this instance, and we'll just leave it there forever. Just kidding, not forever. And we'll proceed to do other things. Okay, next thing, we got some water over here. This is a little pot of water. I think I already put salt in it, but if not, you can put some more salt in it. Can't tell from how it looks. It's fine. And if you were reasonable, you would have probably bought some green beans. You would have to trim them. But I bought a bag of green beans, which I think actually does not need to be trimmed. Yeah, they don't need to be trimmed. They're good. Okay, so using the power of technology, or possibly indentured labor, or low wages, these green beans have already been trimmed, so I don't got to do it. God bless. Now, this is a very simple salad. What we're making tonight is a good summer meal. Where it's hot outside, you need to eat mostly vegetables, you don't want to be too weighed down by anything. And therefore, it would be a great application for either green beans that you grew personally, where they're very tender, and they're one of the show pieces for this salad. Or maybe you went to the farmer's market and you found some real nice looking beans. I don't know if you have ever been in that situation, but sometimes there's a moment at the farmer's market where you're like, ooh, I'm thinking about them beans. But of course, I didn't really plan this. I didn't have time to look for good beans. And in fact, I probably got some of the shittiest green beans. But that's okay. That's okay. So those are the beans. Well, we're gonna blanch the beans today. This is 12 ounces of beans, but you could use up to a pound if you so chose. And we will get an ice bath prepared because you need to cook and then you need to stop the cook. Just like you need to stop voter fraud. That's such like a dumb joke that like, I want to leave it in, but I feel like I need like a caveat of like, I am not personally concerned about voter fraud. I just wanted to make a dumb joke. That's probably the best way to tell jokes, is to over-explain them and then, you know, yeah. Probably the best way to do it. All right, let's see what's the next step. You should prepare your basil. So here's some basil that I picked, and we really just want the leaves. You can see that this basil in particular, you know, it's got some seeds growing on it, and that's fine. We need like a cup and a half of basil, which is a load of basil, and therefore I can't be bothered to actually measure it. I think that in this case, a volumetric measurement really breaks down, and that you know how much is a cup of basil? Is it loose? Is it like compacted? I don't know. So I'm just gonna use this much. Okay, so we got just a little bit of pickling action. You know, you probably should let that go longer than we did, but I don't really care. So I'm gonna go ahead and pack the basil in there, into this jar. Okay, to that we are gonna add a couple tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. We'll probably use about half a lemon today for our purposes, and also our purposes, and also our, what's that, like a Chinese pink river dolphin? We'll do it for them too. And we need some black pepper, or if you're like me, you can use multicolored brown pepper. It's fine. Plenty of pepper, P-O-P. And there's that. Water's still not boiling, that's fine. We're making a dressing right now, that basil dressing. Ah yes, the olive oil. That's what I was missing. Okay, so you need olive oil in this dressing. Olive oil. You need about 6 tablespoons, which in my world is just a bunch of glugs. And then we'll probably adjust it from there. You can see I'm using my immersion blender to pack everything down there. And then we're gonna grind it up. Gotta scrape the sides here to get that vegetal mass all incorporated. I just thought about that this is a little bit like pesto, a little bit like chimichurri. It's like a pesto churri, or a chimi pesto. Ooh, chimi pesto sounds like Jimmy Pesto from Bob's Burgers. # canceled. Jimmy Pesto's voice actor got booted from the show for going to the January 6th riots. Oops. This is looking good. It's looking thick, looking chunky. Oh my god. And actually this particular application would be really good if you have like a little magic bullet blender. It'd be good. Okay, so I got tons and tons of dressing. Give it a little taste. And I think it's quite good how it is. It's incredibly piquant. So the combination of the vinegar and the lemon juice is like pretty in your face. So if you're like sensitive to acids, maybe this ain't for you, but maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, so what we're gonna do from here is blanch our beans. Perfect timing. The water's at a simmer. We're gonna pop our beans in, and those beans we're gonna blanch for about 4 minutes. The goal of this is to have them crisp tender, or kind of a little bit al dente, but you know, cooked. Meanwhile, we can prepare a couple of the other ingredients. So I'm gonna get some parsley going. Parsley can be a challenging texture for some folks. So you gotta be a little bit mindful of that. Not everyone likes a big hunk of parsley. So I personally recommend giving it a pretty fine mince as it goes into the salad. This is some very fragrant parsley. It smells great. But yeah, I've never had a parsley where I was like, oh yeah, I wish that was in a bigger piece. So I will chop it accordingly. And now we will ask John for creative input. John, what kind of bean would you like today? Would you like cannellini or garbanzo?
Which would diversify our texture the most?
Probably the garbanzo.
It must be done.
Alright, so I got these fancy beans in cartons. You squeeze and then you tear. Squeeze and you tear. Oh man, let's try one straight out of the carton. I think that's a better than average garbanzo. Not bad. Not bad at all. So we do want to strain those. This is one of those meals where, you know, it's a salad, but you're doing a couple of different techniques, so you probably will actually make some dishes. Probably more dishes than you want to do for making a salad. So just bear that in mind. I do know that all of you at home are like, well, thank God, another fish and bean episode on PGC. I didn't know what to make. And we're joking, but the reality is This is how I eat, guys. If you'd prefer, we could just go back and I'll just make a cheeseburger every Tuesday. 25 seconds remain. Look at our beautiful beans. They're vibrant. They look very nice. We'll go ahead and call that, and we shall blanch them. This is a lazy man strain. Then they go into the blanch, into the ice bath. And for good measure, we'll run cold water in there, stop the cooking. When the beans are cool to the touch, you're good to go. So I can grab the beans, go ahead and strain them. That's another lazy man strain. Okay, so now's the time to assemble our salad. So we'll be tossing it in a bowl. Go ahead and put our beans in, nice chickpeas, and our parsley. And to that, we're gonna add a ton of capers. I always struggle with the capers because they put them in these, these really thin jars, and I can like barely put one finger in there. But you can do it this way too. A little bit of some capers. And hey, by the way, if you don't want the rest of your capers to go bad, put that juice back in there. Okay, so there's that. Now, what is this salad missing, John?
Fish.
Yes, but also
The dressing.
Lettuce. So you can use the lettuce of your choosing. I'm gonna use a mix today, which is microgreens and arugula. It's called the Queen City mix. Go ahead and put that in there. So for me personally, I like to give the salad a little bit of a toss before adding the dressing, just to let the volume reduce just a little bit. And if you got a brain, and I know you got a brain, you should realize that this is probably way too much dressing for this amount of salad. And that's okay, it is all right. So we will go ahead and toss with the dressing first. So I'm gonna do a big glug like so. I've used about half the dressing so far. And very carefully I will toss. You mix this salad up. Now my immediate impression of this was that this is fairly monochromatic. It's very green. And eating just green things is okay, but I do feel like it could benefit from some pops of color. So you might think about garnishing this with tomato, maybe pickled onion, something to diversify the color a little bit. And what I can tell you right off the bat is just that half the dressing that I used, it's plenty. Everything's nice and coated, it's not soggy. Good taste. All right, finally, we need some tuna. And of course you could substitute the fish of your choosing. The recipe I'm referencing asked for tuna packed in glass and in oil, which I could not find where I went. So I got some various fancy tunas, and I'm just gonna use those instead. So we'll pop these open. It kind of looks like you could drain it without a problem. Stinky. And you can flake this however you would like. It says do not strain, or do not drain. That's funny. Okay, well I'll just throw it in there. Why not? Make it taste nice and fishy. So one way you can flake is with a fork. Basically just running the fork through. So we got some nice fish. Tuna unto itself is, not a very glamorous food, but that's okay. I think what's nice about this is that it combines really fresh ingredients like the basil and the green beans with very humble ingredients that you might, find in your pantry. Oh, this tuna is super lean, but this is albacore, so it's slightly different. Big world, lots of tunas. I'm gonna use more dressing because that's dry. We'll add some of that. You can pretend like you're not eating tuna. So I have to say, tuna made this look worse, but that's okay. It's healthy, and I'm sure it's delicious. All right, so let's plate this up, making sure to get a little bit of the extra stuff. And I'm telling you, this just cries out for something with color. So I probably will add a little tomato. We'll add a tomato garnish from my garden. So it's like a little Roma that I grew. And I think just adding a little bit of Roma will really make this look nicer. Particularly for plating, just a little bit of red really I think will take us where we need to go. And we can also add a little bit of color just through garnishing with a lemon as well. So something like that. And that's it. You can salt and pepper to your taste. We'll probably hold off on that for now. But that's our green bean and tuna salad. It doesn't look like much, but I'm sure it's delicious. All right, let's give this bad boy a taste. The flavors meld together very well. And even though we blended, a fairly obscene amount of basil, it's not like an overwhelming flavor. It's really good. It's very briny. The combination of the lemon, vinegar, and also the capers as well. But it's a familiar combination. You've probably had the combo of oil and lemon and caper a million times, a million ways. But this actually blends together really nicely. I would say that the green beans in particular add this really nice crunch. I'm super happy with this. To round out this meal, we're gonna serve this with fresh bread. And that'll be the carb element that this does not have, other than the beans. And you know, beans is beans. So super quick and easy, not much of a struggle at all. No struggle today. I have a little bit more lemon on mine. And that's how you do it today. Hope you enjoyed our quick summer salad. I know I did. It's not very glamorous, but it's actually really tasty. And I think this would pair nice with a white wine, but I don't have any. So I'll just have to drink something else. We'll see you next time. PGC. Bye-bye.